Bears. I think the Bears are doing every and anything to sabotage right now.
You said to sabotage?
Yeah.
So, just so I'm correct, the Bears are doing anything and everything to sabotage.
Well, it's the Roquan Smith rumors that came out today.
Oh, okay.
It's the Roquan Smith rumors that came out today. Them not wanting to pay him and all those types of things. I'm kind of like, yeah, what are y'all doing? So their receiver room is already hot garbage. We know that. Their O-line is garbage. We know that. Like we know a lot of their stuff was completely downgraded and they was fully entering rebuild mode. So I don't really know what to do with, like, I do know what to do with that. It's like almost like they're actively tanking, which will put them in a tough situation come next year. Well, not a tough situation.
Well,
it's not going to be.
Hypothetically speaking, if they are actively tanking, who are they aiming for next year?
That's the problem. Is you can't be tanking, to me, for anything that's not a quarterback.
Do you think they're going to be tanking for a quarterback though?
I don't. It's just the smartest thing to do.
Because that's kind of where I'm caught off guard with them. Is like, if you're going to tank for a quarterback, like, I don't get it. I know it's a quarterback heavy draft, but still,
it's just contract. It's the contract. If I know I'm in a rebuilding window of 2, 3, 4 years, I'd rather start with a rookie quarterback that has a fresh 5-year deal or 4-year deal with an option than be going into year 1 of a rebuild, and Justin Fields will have to have his option picked up after the end of next season. So you tank, you start to make moves, and then at the end of the next season, you got to pick up his option.
So where does that put Justin Fields?
If they got a top pick, he'll probably be one of the names to be ready to move.
Damn. Already?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense if you want to rebuild and you're not committed to this quarterback to keep the quarterback. Because I still think that there's enough teams going into next year who will be willing to give up their first for Fields. Maybe not more, but they'll probably be like, hey, I'll give you my first for that year so you can have multiple.
Well, so either Roquan Smith gonna have to lower his standards or what he looking to get paid, or something gonna need to happen.
Yeah, and I don't think, again, when that came out today, I was kind of like, man, I felt like you got a really good guy on the team. Why not try to keep him to, have some stability at least at some position? So I wouldn't be. They just give me the views of like they're almost ready to just put this season into the tank, and but it's also not a bad thing because there's some really good players at the top of the draft next year that's not quarterbacks, so they could also just take the best player available on the board.
That being,
and just go on about their day. I think the first person will be Jackson Smith-Njigba, the Ohio State wide receiver.
Outside of the quarterback heavy.
Yeah. I still think even with the quarterbacks, the 2 D linemen and Smith-Njigba will still be considered higher up on the board. I don't think none of the quarterbacks will probably actually be the number 1 prospect.
Damn.
I just think a lot of them are really good. But Will Anderson and Carter, the DN from Georgia and Alabama, they're like clear number 1, number 2 to me right now.
So with nothing really changing other than the Roquan Smith rumors in the NFC North, who are you looking at to take this division? I know we went over this but just to recap, just to kind of get there and make another prediction, who you got taking the North?
You all right?
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
But I know we already went through the NFC North episode, but now that we're here, we're recapping the NFC as a whole. Who you got winning this division?
Green Bay.
Green Bay still outright clear.
Yeah. Still Green Bay. I have Green Bay. You got somebody else?
Honestly, no. I mean,
it's very tough.
they lost the number one receiver in the league. So we're saying, until you threw some interesting stats in the chat the other day, which we might get to later on in this conversation as we kind of get into the over and unders and comparisons. But I think they still win it by a good margin.
So a lot of the people are just expecting Kevin O'Connell, the new coach for the Vikings, because he was an OC with the Rams, to come over and to help this Minnesota team and Kirk Cousins go to the next level, right? Like that's the assumption. I know people didn't like Mike Zimmer for whatever, but I felt like his specialty was defense. I think that defense, unless these younger guys don't show up, might have played the best football that they were gonna play. So I think defensively they're gonna drop. And remember, this team didn't even make the playoffs last year, bro. Like they missed, right? So you're almost like,
it was an outright miss too. It wasn't like an almost miss. So
it's like the only reason why people are trying to champion Minnesota is because Green Bay lost Devontae Adams. That was the only thing that they lost. I still think backfield Green Bay's better, defense Green Bay's better, quarterback Green Bay's better, coach Green Bay's better. So I'm trying to understand, outside of the fact that Justin Jefferson is that dude, that you are trying to elevate Minnesota to this level. Scoring and playing offense wasn't the Vikings' problem.
Adam Thielen took a little bit of a step back last year too.
Yeah. And I mean, people like, I told you, Justin Jefferson's that dude, and people are trying to talk about him like he's going to take a bigger leap. But first year he went for 1,400, second year he went 1,600. How much higher can a man go without just staying consistent? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been playing at an elite level since he walked into the league, so it's not like he's going from good to great to elite. Like, he walked in elite, and he's been elite for 2 years, and we expect him just to be elite. So I don't think that's going to change your you know what I'm saying, your trajectory of your team.
You go 1,800. The next natural progression, right?
That's the next natural progression, yeah. So I'm just kind of, when we get there, I do think Minnesota is on the fringe of being a playoff team. I think more so because they will have a better record, but I still see Green Bay winning this division by 2, maybe even 3 games.
It might even be the same record as last. So last year, Green Bay.
That's what I'm saying. I think
they replaced the pass heavy, and they start leaning on their running backs a little bit more. Right, Aaron Jones could stay a little bit healthier, knowing that he has a pretty solid number 2 running back.
No, you're right. So I'm not convinced of Minnesota at all that they took this leap. It's the same thing. And the same pressure that we put on Denver about Nathaniel Hackett being an OC, same pressure I'm going to give to Kevin O'Connell about being an OC. You are an offensive coordinator for a dude we knew was calling plays, so I don't know what you could do when it's time to cook. Like, we know what McVay and LaFleur can do. We don't know what you can do when it's time to cook, so I'm not going to sit there and think that you have the same type of genius.
Y'all heard it here. The Vikings still going to suck. I'm sorry to my Vikings fans. I know there's a lot of Vikings fans that's probably watching this. A couple of y'all. There's a couple of y'all watching this. I'm sorry.
I did say, though, the Vikings might have the best all-time wide receiver lineup in all franchise histories. Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. That will be your 4.
Ooh. Even beyond the Niners? Because you're looking at Jerry Rice and T.O. alone. Vikings are
okay, no. But then who's the third? Debo. You can Debo in that group. I can't. I said Michael Crabtree over Debo, and you would give me an argument. 49ers Crabtree was fired.
Damn.
Now I've been getting ready to actually make a list about that because I brought it up, and the OG said he told me, he was like, you can only take one player for one team though. He was like, you can't have, like, if I do Randy for the Vikings, I can't do Randy for the Pats. Like, because then we'll just be starting to shuffle a lot of these guys around. And so,
So the Vikings got the best all-time.
I think Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. That's 4.
Man, that's gonna be a conversation we're gonna have to get into once we're done with this review show.
Because then you gotta ask, what team gets T.O.? Like I said, if you do 49ers T.O. can't go to the Eagles, he can't go to Cowboys, he can't go to the Bengals, he can't go to none of that. So I think Philly T.O. That's my favorite TO.
Because then that would be what? TO, Deshaun Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of stops there.
Macklin.
I mean, I don't
Macklin.
know. Because if I'm thinking about what you did with the Vikings, you took all number ones. All number ones. Macklin was a number 2 to Deshaun Jackson. So, damn, you might have an argument there. You might be on to something.
I think Pittsburgh was one. Antonio Brown, Hines Ward, and
Plaxico Burress.
Yeah, Plaxico. That was another one
that caught the game-winning touchdown against the Cardinals. Santonio Holmes.
Santonio. I do
Santonio
Santonio
was nice.
Plaxico. But again, that was just a thought. Like, Vikings got a cold all-time wide receiver room. So
Antoine Randall L. Oh, you right. Antoine Randall L was nice.
No, so if they had 4, no matter who we made 3, Randall L will have to be the 4 because you know them trick plays, boy. He had that quarter. He had that receiver pass. Damn. He was down. Like, he was cold.
So this is what we're looking at. Packers number 1, Vikings number 2, Bears and Lions. I think we had the Lions making an improvement.
Yeah, we had the Lions making an improvement. Both of y'all at the time said Lions will go 3. I said Bears. I'm off that train. Lions go 3, and Bears will go 4.
Roquan Smith messed that up all by himself.
Nah, but I told you, it's their GM. It's their GM. This is a whole new GM, a whole new coach. So I'm trying to see over the next 2 years, this GM is going to show us what he values. Like, he really is. So I'm going to give him the chance to show. I'm taking all expectations away from that. So I'll go Lions 3 and Bears 4.
Cool. I'm okay with that. So any final thoughts before we move on to the NFC South? The Packers 1, Vikings 2, Lions 3, Bears 4.
Aiden Hutchinson. Where is Aiden Hutchinson on your defensive rookie of the year ranking?
I think he gets burnt out halfway through the year. That team's going to be on the field a lot on defense. A lot.
Damn.
I think he's going to burn out halfway through the
year. So what do you think the trajectory of his career is? Do you think he's one of the Bosa brothers? Do you think he's Jared Allen-like? Do you think he finds his way to be...
I'm going to be honest with you. He's going to be a DeForest Buckner kind of guy.
God damn, that man got traded.
DeForest Buckner kind of guy. I'm talking about
the first couple, he still got traded.
The first 3 to 4 years of DeForest Buckner's career is what I'm seeing with Aiden Hutchinson. Just because, man, he's on a team that, like, you ain't got... yeah. You ain't got a biggest question mark... You're going to be on the field a lot.
The biggest question mark for them is Jeff Okudah.
This Lions team's going to be nice.
Year, rookie year, getting hurt last year, going into year 3, like, if he's just an average cornerback who stays getting hurt, that sets them back so much.
Yeah.
But if he steps into his this year, it could change a lot for this team.
Yeah. This Lions team could be one of those most improved teams from last year to this year. Could be. This might be one of my black horse team.
Yeah.
That we talk about later.
Great O-line. Jamison Williams, I hope he comes back and has at least, like, I would love to see him get at least 10 games worth of playing time.
Swift and Williams at the running back. Yeah. They could be nice.
Amon St. Brown, like, they got some P. That's why I want 10 games out of Williams, so then we could kind of see, like, not more for a projection of Jared Goff, but you could see all your weapons in place and then be like, okay, what quarterback can we really go for that's going to fit this and what we do?
Facts. Defense is going to be key for the Lions. Hey, man, DJ.
Yeah.
DJ is going to be the key for this Lions team. If they can get DJ next year, he fits perfect in this offense, I think.
Yep, let's get it.
So, all right, that takes us on to the NFC South. Last year we had the Bucs finishing first at 13-4, Saints at 9-8, Falcons at 7-10, and the Panthers at 5-12. Who do you got winning this division in the NFC South? I think we all talked about the Bucs, right?
Yeah, Bucs will win the division. They're starting to. They got a lot of karma stuff going with them right now. I kind of want to take any money, if anybody had, and take it off of them because they lost their center for the year already. They're already starting to lose too many pieces a little too early. Tristan Wirfs got carted off training camp.
Again?
No. Yeah. They're starting to get hurt. and I think it's starting to get just a little too much. So it's kind of natural for me to want to say that the Bucs are going to win it, because I think just Tom Brady and that coaching staff alone is just better than every other coaching staff in the division.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just tough to not want to bet against them.
Yeah. And for those of y'all watching, that's kind of what we look at. We look at the combination of coach and quarterback, and then kind of everything else falls out of priority from that. But
so there's been a big push for people to want to go to Saints,
Bucks, Falcons, Panthers. Ooh, we got the Saints first. I've seen that a lot though.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people. Cam Jordan had an interview with LT and them the other day, and he was like, they're 1-5 against Tom Brady's 1-5 against the Saints since he's been in the division. And the Saints have been killing the Bucks, like they have. But this is a Sean Payton-less Saints team. We're not
right.
Like, I think people are forgetting the fact that Sean Payton's still a really good coach, and he's gone. So we don't know what Dennis Allen or the rest of these guys could do as coaches. We don't know what they could do. So I expect them to take the drop off too. Like the DC went to head coach. We don't know what his responsibility is going to look like. Jameis Winston, I think, was already hurt again. Something about he got hurt. They played well with Jameis. He was doing fine. Like, if he's hurt, that's in the tank for them. For real.
Yeah. Jameis, I think, is a pretty decent quarterback. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we get to rank the NFC quarterbacks at the end. But
he is.
I don't know, man.
I mess with Jameis.
The Bucks, as clear as it is for a lot of people to pick the Bucks, they're one of those teams very, very similar to how we talk about the Rams. They're one injury away from sucking. I don't care if y'all got Tom Brady. Their defense is very, very top heavy, right? There's not a lot of depth over there. D-line is what it is. That front seven, that linebacking core is what it is. They nice. Secondary is pretty okay. Yeah,
they're okay.
But one injury on the defensive side, one injury on the offensive side, especially on that O-line. You talked about Tristan Wirfs getting hurt and the center getting hurt. I don't know, man.
Yeah, and that's
the
truth.
Saints. Yeah, but I'm not big on him over there. Yeah,
I'm not moved by that one. I'm not moved by that move. But they also picked up Marcus May. They still got Marcus Lattimore, Paulson Adebo. So the secondary as a group, 5-6 deep, Charles Gardner-Johnson, it's a really good, solid, deep group. There's like no one player who you could say is weak. They're 3 safeties deep. They're 3 cornerbacks deep. So it's a good secondary. They got a really good defense. Like, the Saints have a really good defense. DeMario Davis came. Like, they have a really good defense. It says lose Vita Vea and they're done. Exactly. Like, if Vita Vea isn't there for the Bucks, they're done. They're top heavy too. So, and
no one to feel that.
With your center already being out for the year, that's tough. That's tough. That's very tough.
Feel that A and B gap like he does, man. So
no,
we'll see what happens.
No, not at all.
But
not at all.
If we're looking at how we got him finishing, we got the Bucks, the Saints. Where this is your division, man. Where are you putting your Panthers in this? Because I got Bucks and Saints.
We damn sure better not be worse than the Falcons. Like, that's how I feel. Like, we shouldn't be worse than the Falcons. Like, there's really none on paper that says, hey, you should be worse than the Falcons. Like, it really shouldn't. But they have Casey Hayward, AJ Terrell, which is like a good cornerback duo. I don't like their safeties. They got Troy Anderson at linebacker they picked up. Y'all know I was kind of high on him coming out of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
How much can I ask Marcus to be as good as Matt Ryan was last year when I don't feel like the Falcons' O-line improved as much as it probably should have? Cordell Patterson coming back. Calvin Ridley's out for the year, though. Second year, Kyle Pitts and Drake London. I don't think they have too much of a running game over there to kind of be to keep defenses honest. So I don't think Kyle Pitts is going to get more hell put on him as an assignment over there.
Falcons might be sneaky. Hey, that's what I was saying. What I'm looking at is Mariota, last time he was a starting quarterback, gave Delaney Walker 2 and 3 of his best years ever.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at that production, with him doing the same thing with a guy like Kyle Pitts, who everyone's saying is probably one of the best tight end prospects to ever come out in the first round like this. A little bit high for what his production
1 second,
was.
Let me grab this. Let me grab this. I'll be right back. 1 second, please.
Mariota might be the piece the Falcons was missing. Matty Ice couldn't run. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. That's kind of, to me, that's the difference maker when I'm looking at this team is Marcus Mariota's ability to get on the run. That O-line has a little bit more chemistry, one more year under their belt together. Hopefully they got it together. They're not an all-pro O-line, but they got Kyle Pitts, Olamide, Zacchaeus, Drake London. Vita's not a big fan of USC wide receivers, so we're not going to hear a lot of positive from him when it comes to Drake London. Brian Edwards. They got Geronimo Allison over there. Running back core isn't all that. I mean, I'm not going to say it isn't all that great. Cordell Patterson, Damian Williams. They got a little bit of depth. Nothing that screams all-star. Cordell Patterson had a hell of a year last year, especially if you play fantasy football. The fact that he could be your flex, your wide receiver 2, or your running back 2 on any given day was huge. Defense for the Falcons. I mean, it's okay. Grady Jarrett, Taquan Graham, Marlon Davidson, Lorenzo Carter, AJ Terrell, Richie Grant, Casey Hayward. It's nothing to me that stands out. I do think they'll still be sneaky good with that change of quarterback, being able to put a little bit of athleticism out there. Vita's going to come back and talk about his Panthers, but while we're at it, they got Baker Mayfield as number 1 on the depth chart after they went and picked him up. So,
got you.
Now that he's back, man, we're gonna let you run it on your Carolina Panthers. I already kind of went through the Atlanta Falcons, kind of gave a little bit of rundown on them. So tell us about your Panthers, man.
Matt Rule is doing what he's done every year with the quarterback position, and he's just mishandling it. Third year, damn near 6 quarterback. Like, he's just mishandling the quarterback position. So this team has no true ceiling until this man can handle the quarterback position right. They put out their pseudo projected depth chart, and they couldn't even put Sam or Baker first string. They just put them both there together. Like, this dude has a problem, bro. Like, Matt Rule has an absolute problem. It's like this team, there's just no ceiling on this team until he learns how to handle the quarterback position. And he's doing a bad job of it right now. So I like this. It smells everything of another 5-win season because I see where he's messing everything up. Like, that's how I feel like he's messing everything up. But outside of that, if they was to start with Baker from day one, there should be enough. Baker's clearly better than Sam. It should give back at least one game that we knew Sam would soil throughout the course of the year.
Yeah.
But then after that, it really is on how he then goes and decides to handle the O-line and CMC being healthy. So, and honestly, that's not what you.
Honestly, bro, I think Baker saves. He's gonna save your head coach another 2 years. He's going to save your coach another 2 years.
That's not going nowhere anyway. I know when the owner came out and said he's here for 5, he's here for 5 at least. So there's when Dave came, everybody that they fired up to this point wasn't actually hired by Tepper. Phil Snow was hired by Tepper because that was Matt Rule's homie. So everybody who Tepper brought in is still around, and he's prideful. He doesn't want to be wrong. So he's here for 5. So, he's here for 5, bro. Matt's not going nowhere. Y'all know I've been calling for this man's head. But when that man came out and said he's going to be here for 5, he's going to be here. He's going to be here. I told y'all, once he got out of that New York Giants game, and I was like, you still got a job? I was like, bro, I'm asking you to break up. I'm asking you to break up with the person who you're too in love with. He doesn't want to let him go. So I know for a fact.
Facts.
Yeah, Matt's not going nowhere. He's not going nowhere, and I'm just set on that until no matter what happens this year, he's not going nowhere.
Outside of your quarterback troubles, man, tell us about that defense. They some dogs over there.
It's fire, bro. Defense is fire. Jeremy Chin, J.C. Horn, C.J. Henderson. Who, if C.J. Henderson top 10 pick in his draft class. If he plays up to being a good corner with Dante Jackson, picked up Xavier Woods, safety from the Cowboys. Like, that gives me comfort in our secondary. Linebackers, Shaq Thompson. Shaq had a good year, great year for us last year. He really stepped up into a role that I thought would he became who I thought he was gonna be. Great player, not elite, but he's right on the borderline outside of them great dudes, which I could do with. Luvu is the man, Oos. Matt Rule loves Luvu. Matt Rule he wants to go to everything. Matt Rule loves Luvu, bro. He came out with his quote. He said, Frankie Luvu is every way we want our players to play defense. So I got my Luvu jersey in the cart now. Like, I'm ready to order it. I got it in the cart now, just waiting to be responsible to order it. But Luvu, the change of now is with Reddick being gone, Luvu's supposed to take his role and to do what Reddick was supposed to do, which I think he could just fill in for what he was doing. And do I think he's going to get 12 sacks? I don't know if he could get 12 sacks, but I do think it's the run game, which has me more focused on YGM, Yeetor's Gross Matos, and Marquise Haynes to see if they could be able to step up. But, man, Derek Brown being the first pick of Matt Rule's draft class as head coach, he's got to step up because he's got a fifth-year option that has to get picked up, and I don't think they're going to pick it up with the way he's been playing. And so,
y'all got a pretty deep defense, man.
The defense is...
Y'all got a pretty deep defense.
The defense is there. Since last year, we was second in total yardage, but that was also a...
Flying Fijian.
We was second in total yardage, but that was also a knock on the offense because we was also worst in the league in average starting position. So, like, you didn't have to give up too many yards because the offense wasn't helping you out and they ain't had too far to go. And so it was a two-edged sword with that. But it really goes, this whole team is going to go off of if Matt could just get out his way and just let Baker start, that's it. Nobody in the Panthers want to see Sam Darnold play anymore. That man's gone. Let Baker start. And if McCaffrey is healthy for 17 games, that's it. So my logic is Baker, I'm be real. I think our defense going into next year could be the best defense Baker's played with. I think our O-line is not as good as what he had, clearly. I think our running game isn't as good as what he had with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, but it's CMC. So he provides a different service than Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt can't.
I think our weapons have 5 receivers out there.
You legit have 5 receivers. Yeah. And then our weapons go DJ, Robbie, TMJ, Rashad Higgins, who came from Cleveland with him. Like, that's our 4 with tight ends. I'm starting to be very low on our tight ends as receiving options. But they, they look better in training camp, but I don't think they're actually going to be part of the game plan.
Cool. So breaking down the NFC South, man, we got the Bucks 1, the Saints 2. Are you putting the Panthers 3 and the Falcons 4? Or are you pushing your Panthers to number 2 on this list, getting to the playoffs?
I will never give J10 the satisfaction of saying the Saints is over the Panthers. I'm not. No, I'm not going to do it. But me and him also got a bet. He said 10 wins or more wins than us. But I'm going to bet him. But I know he's not going to pay because he still ain't gave me my lunch from the last bet he lost.
All right, so Beta's official vote is the Bucks at 1, the Panthers at 2, the Saints at 3, and the Falcons at 4. The Falcons being the sneaky team in this division. We talked about the Lions being the sneaky team in the last one. NFC South has the Falcons, so we'll move on
to the NFC East.
Broke out of order a little bit. In the NFC East, man, this is my house. This is my place. This is my place of business. My place. We're gonna start with the Eagles, man, because the Eagles gonna win this division clearly. Clearly, 12 games. 12, maybe 13. And it's the only reason I'm saying that, yes, I'm an Eagles fan. But also, our schedule ain't as hard as everyone else's.
It's not.
Not at all.
I think people take a misunderstanding for when you project records that you're projecting it based off the talent of the roster.
Right,
and we just didn't look at the schedule. Like, nah, bro, go look at the schedule, bro.
Because I remember we was getting some hate the other day talking about they're not going to win 14 games. We was just like, Are you serious?
Bro,
We was talking about the
if you,
Chargers.
yeah,
We was like, you know how
if you
many
sit down and
teams
look at
they
the
play?
schedule,
Yeah, you know how many teams they play that was barely 500 or under 500 this year? A lot.
yeah.
Fly, Eagles, fly. You know what I'm saying? But biggest thing for the Eagles, man, I'm looking at them is, yes, there's so much talent on offense. Yes, all eyes are on Jalen Hurts. Yes, this is kind of your year to come out after you got the vote of confidence from basically everyone in the front office to come out and perform. That's not who I'm looking at this year. I'm looking at that defense. Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, everybody in the secondary, bro. I just watched a Pivot podcast today with the three Bengals receivers, Jamar Chase, them boys. And they was talking about, you know, who are the cornerbacks that y'all, you know, that y'all look forward to facing because you're going to have your work cut out for you. Darius Slay was one of the names that come up on there.
Yep. O-line can be fine.
Darius Slay, that for the first time in a long time as an Eagles fan, even as a Ducks fan, we ain't got a lot to look forward to when it comes to the secondary since Brian Dawkins.
Yeah,
now, I feel like we have probably one of the most well-rounded secondaries that we've ever had. O-line going to be nasty. Oh, yeah, we get Selma Low back. My Lada's on a tear. Kelsey just got done with a surgery. Said he'll be ready for the beginning of the season. I don't know, man. I just got this Eagles team winning 12, maybe 13 games.
Yeah, and that's what we projected. If it wasn't for me trying to believe in the no projection Riverboat Ron deal, it said like, nah, for real. I told you my whole belief in why I felt like the Commanders were the sneaky team is that when you don't think nothing's gonna come from a Ron Rivera team, something happens with them. So I'm gonna switch it up since we have dark horses and we just talk about the divisions. I have Philly winning the division, but my dark horse would be Washington. I'm not gonna give him that much stock to where I look that dumb. Because people was already roasting me for trying to bring it up. But when, like I said, when Ron has when you don't think nothing of his team stuff happens, you upgrade that quarterback with Carson Wentz. Told you I got a DPOY from Chase. So that's why I had Washington. But to stay on Philly, you add Hassan Reddick, you add Jordan Davis, you got experience. Nakobe Dean's going to be there. So it's a very, very, even on the U.S. power rankings, they had the Eagles, I think, in the top 5 in well-rounded rosters. Mm-hmm. It's a great, great, great roster. We get to see what year 2 looks like. We get to see what year 2 looks like as a coaching staff. We get to see what year 2 looks like for them. Fletcher Cox, you know what I'm saying? He just definitely you just love to see the OGs stay where they're at, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just love to see that.
Josh Sweat.
Yeah. Hargraves.
The biggest hole that they was talking about the Eagles is that linebacker. Granted, we got some new pieces, but
that's the thing is we also know nowadays in our game linebacker isn't as cherished as it once was. It's D-line and secondary. So linebackers, when you say linebackers is the weakest of the defense, that's kind of where it's supposed to be at in nowadays game.
Right.
Is you're supposed to have an amazing guy coming off the edge, an amazing guy locking up on the outside, and an interior. And then whatever you do with safety and linebacker from there is dealer's choice. So even when you have those guys, like you go look at Frisco with Fred Warner, this is a great linebacker, but we don't highlight him as much as we do because it's just not valued no more as a position. So that's 100% okay. You know what I'm saying? That's 100% okay. The game has changed. You need those edge rushers. Hassan Reddick coming over, man, 12 plus sacks last year. That man's gonna be able to have all the one-on-ones that he probably wants to get and to eat up. He's going in. He's a great talent, man. So Philly definitely, man, with all the growth they got, adding AJ Brown, this should definitely be a team that has 12, 13 wins and walks away with the division. They did everything while Dallas lost too much. So
I wish we could say that about Ezekiel Elliott. He looking kind of heavy at training camp, bro.
It's Zeke, man. It's Zeke. It's Zeke. I'm not gonna punish Zeke, man. Dudes, though, maybe I'm trying to be sympathetic for him, but I think Dallas. My brother made a good point, and it's a point that we've already talked about anyway. Is once Imagine if Brady retired and Rodgers retired and some of these people left, it would supposedly give Dallas a 2-year NFC window to go get to a championship game. Man, that mess ain't about to happen, bro. I
Nah,
don't think it's about to happen. So I think as much as the NFC is moving off like with quarterbacks, it could. I don't think Dallas has that much ahead on anything else because they're going to overpay Trayvon, they're going to overpay Micah, and it's going to put their roster into a bad place.
they did go and
When
pick
you
up
lose people like
Anthony Barr, which was a pretty solid pickup at linebacker for sure.
it's not going to move me. It's not going to move me. Like that move's not going to move me. I feel like Jabril Cox, however they decide to use him in there, should be a good piece that I hope that they get used in there. This is said with Dallas. This is the first year where Dak has to actually be the best player on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Every other year in his career, he did not have to be the best player on offense. This year, Dak has to be the best player on offense. The years before, he had dominant Zeke, dominant O-line, a great Amari Cooper. Now you don't have those things, and Dak, you're getting paid. So you actually have to be the best player on offense. Your O-line is going to probably be the worst O-line you had. Your running
That's
game
true.
is probably going to be the worst running game you had. Your weapons core, if CeeDee Lamb isn't this number one, will be the worst receiving core you've ever had. And a lot of people are trying to talk about the Dallas defense last year. That was turnovers. That wasn't actually being a good defense. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That was taking
Yeah,
advantage of the other team's mistakes.
other teams' mistakes. That is a good thing, but it's also not sustainable. It's not something we could put our dollar on and say, oh, yeah, Diggs is going to get another 10 picks and they're going to get another 30, 40 total turnovers. It's not something we can put our dollar on. We don't see no improved presence on the line. You lose Randy Gregory. Like, your best bet at this point is to almost just make Micah your stand up outside and just tell him go get the quarterback every time. Like, that's almost the best thing that you could do for yourself
They
as a
might have
defense.
to. They might have to, especially looking at their depth. That's one thing I noticed about Dallas, right? This Dallas team has zero depth. Zero.
Zero depth.
Outside of all of their starters, outside of all of their first team guys, the most depth you have is at linebacker. And that's probably where you have probably the most health out of Leighton Vander Esch, right? He's in and out. Probably plug in, move Anthony Barr to middle, throw Jabril Cox over there a week. But I don't know, man. The way I got this conference breaking down is the Eagles, the Commanders, Dallas. Commanders and Dallas are going to be pretty similar in record. I think they're going to be really close. It's going to come down to a tiebreaker, but I do have the Commanders kind of taking that.
Yeah.
Cowboys third, and then the Giants who are fourth. There's not really much to talk about with the Giants, man.
Yeah, they deserve to be fourth, though. They deserve to be fourth because they invested capital in the Kayvon and the Evan Neal in the draft. They've made some other pickups. They still got Kadarius Toney. Saquon had a truck stick in practice clip that I saw coming up today.
Saquon and Brady, very underrated running back
backfield. And it's all. Well, the only problem is taking that backfield and hopefully having them healthy for the 2023 season.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Daniel Jones, it's Tyrod Taylor, it's having a new head coach, Brian Dable, and you're just kind of asking yourself, not taking on Daniel Jones's fifth-year option means they will absolutely be in the quarterback market next year. So let's say for whatever God knows reason, Lamar Jackson doesn't re-sign with the Ravens. He'll be one of the places that maybe after all the money to go send in the world for the man. But I don't. Yeah, the Giants got their pieces in the draft that I think they're ready to build from the inside out in the trenches. Moving off of Bradbury and sending him to the Eagles was kind of like the link of like, okay, we got the best that we're going to get out of you. We're not going to be a competitive team. Let's go ahead and move off of you, which I felt like was a smart move to make as an organization.
Getting a return, yeah, definitely getting a return.
Yeah.
Would you agree that's the standings for the NFC East?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's
Eagles,
going to take us into the
Cowboys, Giants.
That's going to take us into the last one, the NFC West. Whole lot to talk about over here. Whole lot to talk about. We saved a good amount of the conversation for this group last year. Let me pull up the records for last year. The NFC West had the Rams finishing first, obviously going to the Super Bowl. They only finished
Super Bowl champ.
by 2 to 4 games from the rest of their division. Rams at 12-5, Cardinals at 11-6, 49ers at 10-7, Seahawks at 7-10. What are we looking at, man? Let's start with the Seahawks. We'll start from the bottom and we'll go up.
Well, now Seahawks is probably going to stay at the bottom because of the quarterback competition that they got going on with Geno and Drew. Which again is just one of those years you could just tell that they're just kind of trying to mail it in. I told you I like their draft. I like the picks up of Cross, Lucas, potentially bookend tight ends of the future, Kenneth Walker, Kobe Bryant, cornerback that they picked up. It's all stuff that you felt like they kind of prioritized when they built that team before.
Mm-hmm.
So this draft class is a good draft class. I like the draft class. I expect them to all find their way to play some type of role this year into next year. So I like this draft class. DK got his money.
Yeah,
dope stuff. Even better that he got his money only on a 2-year extension, so he'll still be up for free agency at the age of 27. So that's going to be that's good for him, and that's good for Seattle to keep a little stability as they work their way through this process. And it's just kind of figuring out this moment now. I think as we're really going to see this year is how Pete Carroll directs this team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're going to get to see is now that we know.
Do you think Pete is the guy? Do you think Pete is the guy to take this team forward?
I think he's gonna be the guy because I think the organization isn't gonna move off of him. Mm-hmm. I don't think Pete leaves Seattle until he wants to leave. I don't think nobody's ever gonna force him out the door.
And that's probably saying that way, way too early because ever since he's been the Seahawks coach, he's been a winning coach. He's had one losing season, which was his first year. He's always been, above 500 by a couple games since he's been the Seahawks coach. So it might be pretty premature to ask that question, but
it's he's got a lot of power in the organization. He's got a lot of power and a lot of pull in the organization. And I don't feel like Pete's leaving Seattle until he decides he's just done coaching. So I think that's just what it is with them over there. Him again, watching how they maneuver this year is going to be the biggest thing. Because I don't know how much longer you can hold on to Tyler Lockett. I don't know what his contract looks like, but I don't know how much longer he's going to be around. He was a person who thrived with Wilson, so I don't expect him to thrive with, Drew Lock, Geno Smith. So, but you still got DK. Said I like the draft class, and that's like the best that I can give from what this team is. And I think we'll probably see a extremely revamped Jamal Adams this year.
Okay.
But I think he's just going to let him be him 100% and, have him flying around, maybe not even doing too much coverage stuff to be real.
Yeah, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. Very underwhelming defense, for sure.
Yeah.
Very underwhelming. Outside of Jamal Adams, maybe Quandre Diggs, everything else is kind of very underwhelming. So,
yeah.
All right, Seahawks. That moves us on to the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers.
Trey time, man. Trey Lance. I'm seeing these, all these reports coming out about Trey Lance. The money's on him, man. Me and you talked about it before. We all talked about it before. The money's on Trey. If Trey's better than Jimmy, this team should be one of the top teams for the next 3, 4, 5 years. If Trey is the same as Jimmy, them fools is getting fired. Like them fools is getting fired.
Everybody gone.
Everybody's gone. Like they don't have room for an average quarterback. Yeah. Like they don't have room for that. So if Trey is that guy, we'll have a very, very different conversation come week 8, 9, talking about the real projection of what this team could be. But if Trey is buns, man, look, Lynch, Shanahan, because Shanahan's record is proven with Jimmy G and without Jimmy G.
Facts.
So the belief is, well, Jimmy G's an average quarterback. Kyle Shanahan can get this record with an average quarterback. What if we got a superstar? And then you go invest all this capital to get your superstar in Trey Lance. So you're not allowed that average record, which was still a good record. You have to go win that game. And so
I like what you said about the situation that Trey Lance is stepping into. It's a very, very Patrick Mahomes-ish situation. Sitting behind a guy like that's very, very Alex Smithish in Jimmy Garoppolo, to be able to see that game manager side of things, to be able to see kind of how he processes things, how he goes through his reads, how he prepares for game day. And then coming in his second year and being able to say, cool, this team is mine now. I got arguably the number one tight end in the league, arguably.
Yep.
I know we're going to put, Kelsey up there. I got a pretty solid wide receiver core in Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. I don't know if you even want to put Jawan Jennings in there. He's the number 3 on the depth chart starting. Elijah Mitchell, who had a pretty solid year last year. They don't have any depth behind Elijah Mitchell. They got Jeff Wilson Jr. and then Terrion Davis-Price. Names I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
A pretty solid O-line.
Yeah.
And then a damn good defense. You're stepping into probably a better situation than Patrick Mahomes has stepped into.
Nah, you are. Because remember, Mahomes stepped into a team who could barely get a playoff win. Trey has taken over a team that's been to a couple Super Bowls and conference championships. Mm-hmm. Like you were the piece who they was like, if we get this guy, we should win that game. Like that's who you are. You weren't allowed. You're not allowed average. You're not allowed. Like you have to go be this guy, this superstar quarterback. Like that's what Shanahan's trying to sell. So if the 49ers should still be a wild card team, because I don't have them winning the division. Mm-hmm. I still have the Rams winning the division. And we talked about it already. We got the Arizona Cardinals being butt. So I have the 49ers and the Rams coming out of this division, have the Rams winning and the 49ers being a wild card team. They'll be in that area. So, but if they're not, boy, look, heads are going to roll.
You don't think they have a 1-year buffer? At least to, at the very least, make playoffs.
1 year buffer was letting Trey sit for 1 year. That's your 1 year buffer. You should have just let him play last year. But that would have, you could have let him play last year, went 7-10, and everybody would have been like, okay, at least we got 17 games of knowing exactly who Trey is. And this man, none of that. So when people tell me, oh, he needs time to learn the playbook. No, you had a year sitting behind a professional. You don't get to learn the playbook. Your unique skills, the athleticism, the off-platform throws, the things that we see on tape from you, is supposed to expand the playbook. I shouldn't be going back to fundamental stuff with you. You sat here with me for a year. You should already know all of that stuff.
We know Patrick Mahomes came in openly saying his first 2 to 3 years that he didn't know how to make any reads. He didn't know how to read a defense. He didn't know how to go through his progressions. It was solely athleticism. So I do think that the NFL has evolved to a point to where I don't think Trey going to be able to lean on his athleticism as much as he probably wants to. So hopefully he has been getting in his playbook and he has been doing the damn thing.
He's a more youthful arm than Jimmy G. Because, Jimmy G's just an old school QB type guy. But I don't see special arm talent when I see Trey. Like, I don't see a guy rolling out on the right and dropping dots for like 50 yards down the field. Yeah. I see a good arm, but I don't see this elite arm, but I do see the athleticism.
Yeah.
So, if Trey's
the episode of Brandon Marshall on I Am Athlete going and getting passes and running routes for Trey Lance.
Yeah.
And he was
saw a clip.
He was like,
yeah.
Show me why you special. And that's all he kept saying the whole time. He never gave him one of those, ooh, that's why they picked you.
Yeah. I didn't watch it. I saw a clip of him catching one, and then I just moved on. Like, all right. I'm still I'm not anti-I Am Athlete, but I'm just too locked in with the guys at the pivot, man.
I am. The pivot is what I Am Athlete wanted to be.
Yeah, man. So Rams winning the division. 49ers is still a great team. Everything outside of quarterback is just a question mark of Trey. So they're still a great team. They still should be in the wild card picture. Probably the higher up, probably the first team outside the wild card picture. Because when I look at teams who were non-division winners, I look at Dallas, Minnesota. Not really Dallas, Minnesota. So,
one big thing I really love about this situation too, looking at it right, is I would much rather have a Shanahan with a question mark at quarterback than an all-star quarterback with a question mark at coach. You talked about this for the Denver Broncos. With the first-year coach coming in, not first-year coach, he's had a coaching job before, but had a coach coming in not knowing what to expect and saying, I got an all-star quarterback with I don't know what the hell to expect from my coach. So definitely a better situation for Trey Lance and the 49ers to be in right now. That's going to take us over to the Arizona Cardinals, who we said were going to be terrible this year.
Terrible. Yeah, they're going to be terrible this year. Remember, you mentioned their record, how they finished 11-6, and they were 8-0, 9-0 until they played Green Bay. You know what I'm saying? They were like 8-0, and then they played Green Bay, and then they fell off. And this is the trade of Cliff Kingsbury. He sucks in the second half of the season. And when you go look at their schedule, the first 5, 6, 7 weeks, you're almost like, where do you win at without DeAndre Hopkins? So I think you give Kyler the extension. I don't expect much or anything from this team at all because you lost too many pieces. And I think the pieces that you drafted aren't what you think that they are. So I think they're just going to be a fairly bad team.
Yeah. DeAndre's out for 6 games, which I'm going to throw it out there. Same amount of games that Deshaun Watson suspended.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
James Conner. Yeah, there's nothing that's like this. This looks like to me when I look at this team, right? When I look at the offense, I look at one of those. We just picked a 7-on-7 team at a college all-star game where all of these individual players are dope. Marquise Brown, you're dope. DeAndre Hopkins, you're dope. James Conner, you proved that you kind of dope. Zach Ertz, you still got some in you. But then when I look at how these guys mesh together and how it makes sense to have them play together, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't match up.
No, this is a situation where we said all-star quarterback, terrible coach. I think you need a new coach. I know I've been calling for Cliffhead forever. Should have never got the job. So until you give Kyler Murray a different coach, this team has saw the best that it could be with Kyler Murray under Cliff Kingsbury. Get a new coach, and then there could be a new ceiling to what this team could be. And Cliff is done for, bro. Get him out of there.
Defense, very, very underwhelming outside of All-Pro Buda Baker. Isaiah Simmons is going to come back healthy this year. We'll see what that looks like. But takes us on to the Super Bowl champions team that we got winning this division, the Los Angeles Rams.
Speaking of, I almost bought an Aaron Donald jersey the other day.
Almost?
Because they had a Super Bowl pass jersey on sale on the website for like $50.
Ooh,
and I was like,
that's as cheap as it's going to get till he retires.
Yeah, as cheap as it's going to get, but it was only in the small and the medium. I said, goddamn genetics. Yeah. So I was like, if it was my size, I was going to cop it. I was going to get that Aaron
you
Donald.
Can't wear this. I need to wear it.
Matter of fact, damn, I should get it for him.
It's still on sale?
I didn't think about it. It's not. I bet you it still is because Jalen Ramsey and Stafford's was on sale.
Jalen Ramsey's a nice jersey to have.
Yeah, I might actually grab that mess for him. Now that I think about it, his birthday's Friday. I won't be here in time, but I'm gonna go back and look because I got to do some school.
He's not with an Aaron Donald jersey. He already built like Aaron Donald at that age.
So the conversation shifts when we come to the Rams.
Okay.
What is their likelihood with this team? Like you mentioned earlier, being top heavy, and they accept that. They know what they are. Mm-hmm. This is a beautiful case to me of an organization and a franchise knowing where they are, knowing who they are, and pushing the chips into the table. Just like the opposite of the Bears. I think the Bears was like, we're gonna suck. We might as well just kind of shove all that hoe in there and just kind of get it over with. Yeah, the Rams are shoving their chips in and saying we want to win the Super Bowl every year until Aaron Donald and McVay leave. Because Aaron Donald went on record and says, I'm probably going to leave when Sean McVay leaves. And so they're going to walk out together, which will probably mean Jalen Ramsey and Matt Stafford going to walk out the door with him because it's going to probably be 2-3 more years. So conference championship game should definitely be the minimum for this team.
Absolutely. Well, which is I'm even go out there and I'm gonna say it's Super Bowl or bust for this team. It's Super Bowl or bust. They might be there again against the 49ers, but to me, it's Super Bowl or bust. When I look at this team, this is a more talented team than last year. McVay already came out on record saying, yo, we're really trying to bring back Odell. We're trying to bring him back in the right situation. We want to bring him in at the right timing to make sure he's healthy. He's already said that they want him back. The defense got better. What?
B-Wags, boy.
B-Wags? B-Wags has been the best linebacker in 5 of the last 10 years. 5 of the last 10 years. And he ain't lost a step. Bro. Like, the fact that you're bringing in a Bobby Wagner to anchor your whole defense, to be the captain of the defense.
The thing, we're used to seeing him anchor, right? You don't anchor with Aaron Donald. B-Wags gets to go be him, bro.
That's
you don't
facts.
have to anchor. You don't have to anchor. This is the first time where Bobby Wagner might be the 3rd best player on defense.
You so right.
You know what I'm saying? This is the first time where we're like, yo, Bobby Wagner might be the 3rd best player on defense, bro. Like, because you're not going to argue Aaron. You're not going to argue Jalen. You're going to be like, damn, B-Wags, you're the 3rd best player.
Right.
And we've seen a situation where however you want to look at the Legion of Boom team, but you were still in that cloud with Sherman, Thomas, yourself, and B-Wags, and everybody over there, and you saw what that defense looked like. Hey, B-Wags is the 3rd best player on your defense, bro. Like, teams should score no points ever in life. Like, I feel like
they shouldn't even see the red zone.
No. That's wild. When you tell me Bobby Wagner is the 3rd best player on your defense, it's a problem, bro. That's a problem. So I don't care who, because there's no combination of players that makes B-Wags being your 3rd best player on defense and being like, oh, there's a weakness. Because if you were like, oh no, they got Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, and Bobby Wagner, what the hell you gonna do? It's like, you know, like there's literally no combination where you make him the 3rd where there's a weakness.
So when I look at this team, right? Very, very different thought process in comparison to when I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, one injury, and I think they're done. Like, done. Yeah. Nothing.
That's the thing. I think they took that injury. The center, man. I think the center was more important than Godwin.
So when I compare that to this team, yes, you lost your all-pro, all-world tackle. He retired. Cool. You got a hell of a guy that slid in there. On top of that, I think they have enough depth to take it. Cam Akers, they let Sony Michel walk because they say, yo, Cam Akers, we saw you come back from an Achilles, help us win a Super Bowl. You didn't perform like people expected you to perform after an Achilles in the playoffs, but you performed nonetheless. Your number 2 is Daryl Henderson. He was the guy while Cam Akers was hurt before they traded for Sony Michel. Tutu Atwell, he only played 8 games last year. So underrated. I think that's a guy to look at as underrated. But you got a Cooper Kupp, a Allen Robinson, and a Van Jefferson right now. That's one hell of a wide receiving core against the secondaries that they're going to be playing.
And I got Allen Robinson snapping. Next year. I think he's going to have a hell of a year next year.
Never been in an offense like McVay's offense. Never had a quarterback like Stafford. No. Never had guys to compliment him like Cooper Kupp, who I think still gets disrespected after doing what he did last year and the year before.
Yeah.
So for me, it's definitely Super Bowl or bust for the Los Angeles Rams, man. From top to bottom, hell of a team. One of the most well-rounded teams in the NFL.
Really is.
Very unbalanced team. Madden is going to be a problem with these guys.
It really is. It's just that they're ready. Again, a conference championship is the worst that these guys are allowed to have. But I bet you a Super Bowl or bust. Super Bowl or bust for the Rams, man.
Cool. That's gonna take us into our next segment, man. What do you want to do first? I got the quarterback power tower up there first.
So before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about our dark horses.
Okay, cool.
Our dark horses.
Dark horses for the division as a whole, or dark horses for each conference?
We'll do for the conference. And then we could do the playoff predictions right after that, and then go to the power tower and the over and under.
Cool.
So we can finish on that. So I told you my dark horse would be Washington Commanders.
I
think Washington Commanders is definitely going to be my dark horse, and my own Carolina Panthers, because if Baker is average Baker, like I know Baker to be average Baker, then that's a damn step up from what we've had the last couple years. And so it should earn us back 3 games. At least.
I can see that.
At minimum. And that's it. So if I'm not acting, Baker is the most average dude in the league, bro, which is okay with me. Like, because I know who he is. I knew Sam was trash, but we rocking with him because he rocking with us. But Baker's average. And if Baker is just average, then I actually get to see what this team looks like without having to fight bad quarterback play. So, like, I can take that. Then I get to really be like, is this defense, this team, DJ Moore, and them really like that? I feel like that's the same to be said for the Commanders. That's why they go upgrade to Carson Wentz, because they feel like, oh, well, we need an upgrade from Heineke, even though I thought he was doing, cool enough. But they needed an upgrade. They got very hurt. A lot of their D-line was hurt in the middle and towards the end of last year. So they missed a lot of pieces that was important to the success of the team. So those would be the two teams that I would have as my dark horse from the NFC.
My dark horse team is going to be the Falcons. For one, I think they're going to ruin a whole lot of stuff over there in the NFC South. The other one I'm going to go with is the Panthers. I am going to say the Panthers. Now, the biggest thing I'm going to say with the Panthers is, although Baker is one of the most average quarterbacks that you got out there, he's definitely going to make up for a whole lot of bad play calling that we've seen Matt Rule have throughout the year. Third quarter, you and Deuce said this all year. Third quarter, what are you doing? That's all I seen in the chat. Matt Rule, what are you doing? I think Baker, like you said, gets you 3 to 4 games back simply by making up for those 3 to 7 bad play calls in the third quarter that Matt Rule typically has. So,
and I actually think he got stripped of a lot of his power here recently too, because when he came in, it was him, and then everybody he hired. Joe Brady was his hire. Tepper brought Matt Rule and Phil Snow, and then let them pick everybody else. So Tepper's not letting go of Matt Rule and Phil Snow, but everybody else who he felt like was underservicing, he went and found a replacement for. That's where Ben McAdoo comes in. That's where old Carolina interim coach, when Rivera got fired, Steve Wilkes, he's back on it. Matt Rule, really, he's relegated to the part now where he almost just has to be a head coach. He's not allowed overseer. And you can start to see where he's narcissistic and he has a problem with a lot of these guys doing stuff. That's why you bring in a Ben McAdoo and a lot of these actual guys who had NFL experience. So I'm expecting with McAdoo there and with Baker there, I expect a lot of things to look different offensively, because Matt Rule's hands have kind of been tied away from certain stuff. Yep. But he does have final roster say. So he did say he's not announcing the starting quarterback until after the second preseason game against the Patriots. So whoever he picks, he picked. So if Sam's the starter, it's all on Matt. Matt has 100% final depth chart say so. So it's all on him. So if Icky's not at left tackle, it's all on Matt. It's all on him. So we'll get to see how he pitches there.
Another reason why I pick the Panthers is because y'all defense is just nasty.
I told y'all, man, I hate how our defense gets treated like this, bro. Listen, you know how much I love Jeremy Chin. So it's like, it's just so like people don't like, they can't see it because how these dudes are, man. They can't see it, man.
All right, that's our dark horses for the NFC.
Yep.
Next piece you want us to roll through?
Playoff predictions. Since we already did our dark horses, we can do our playoff prediction. So right now, currently, are you able to have a pad up so I can kind of get a visual thing of this too?
I got you.
So me and you both have the NFC North being won by the Packers. We have the NFC East being won by the Eagles, the NFC South being won by the Bucks, and the NFC West being won by the Rams. I think when we did our predictions, we still had the Rams having the best record. So that would give the Rams the 1 seed. I think the 2 seed. I can't give the Bucks the 2 seed no more. I think they're starting to get too hurt.
It's going to be the Eagles.
I actually do think now it should be the Eagles. I do think now it should be the Eagles. Then third would be the Packers. And then fourth would be the Bucks. Picture 5, 6, and 7. Remember, only the 1 seed gets a bye week in wild card weekend. So I think 5 would be 49ers. 6 would be Vikings.
Over the Commanders?
Yeah, I still think they are over the Commanders. And 7 is the toss-up. 7 is the cluster. 7 is Dallas,
New Orleans.
Actually,
no, you got Carolina over New Orleans. So that'd be Dallas, Carolina. That would be where we would throw in the Commanders.
That's the question. Is who would be 7? That's the question. That's our picture right now. Is who would be 7. I still think it would be the Cowboys. I just have a tendency to at least kind of think that it should be the Cowboys.
I don't know. So I'm gonna go with the Commanders, bro. I'm gonna go with the Commanders. Just because off the simple fact that you said it. The Cowboys lived off of bad decisions from the offense and taking advantage of it on defense. I don't think they have as many opportunities to do that this year. I think they got to be crispy on offense, and I think the better team, to me, is the Commanders. So that's where I'm at. I think the Commanders will take that 7th spot, and they're gonna go into the playoffs and make it hell just like they did when they did it for the Bucs against the Bucs.
I think the Panthers are better than the Commanders, though.
Let's go out on a limb. Just throw the Panthers in there. Why not?
So the issue with the scheduling, though, is I know we end our season with Tampa and New Orleans.
With Tampa and New Orleans, yeah.
Yeah. So I know we end our season with Tampa and New Orleans. And so I said, that's the problem. That's the problem.
Who would have thought the 7th seed would be this hard?
It really is. It really is.
All right, so if we're looking at that cluster of teams, we got the Cowboys, we got the Commanders, we got the Panthers. Who else would we throw in that?
So the teams that in that. Commanders, Cowboys, Saints, Panthers, to me, are the 4 teams that should be in there. You know what? How about under 7? You just put those 4 teams on the bubble. We can kind of just maybe double back to that when we come back from our smoke break from the NFL. Y'all, the next 2 weeks will be strictly NBA. It'll be no NFL as we get a smoke break from all this. But we're going to have our bubble teams on 7.
Cowboys, Panthers, Cowboys, Commanders. Those will be the 3 I'll throw in there for now.
Cool. Not even gonna lie. Dang, man, I'm fake as hell.
Why?
Nah, we'll keep it. I said I'm not giving J10 the satisfaction. I was gonna say, I'll put Saints over Commanders, but nah, forget him. Yep, Panthers, Cowboys, Commanders. I'm cool with that. I'm good with that.
Cool.
So that'll be our playoff picture.
So that's the
which is perfect for me because I'm coming to Philly, 7 seed, going to the 2 seed in Philly, and whoop your black behind. That's my dream.
Come on.
Ever since Hurts did that mess to win the game, I'm getting that one back.
Come on, dog.
Yeah, I'm getting that one back. I want it in blood.
Come on, man. Honestly, bro. I held on to that so hard when we started y'all losing streak last year. I held for dear life on that. I was like, yes, you will hear this from me anytime we talk about
I'm coming back from
we talk about these 2 teams.
Last season, I want to say, if we get in the playoffs, I just want to play Philly round 1. I'm not. If I gotta go out, I'm not going out on nobody else. I gotta get this back
in Philly too.
Yep.
I don't think you want that.
You ready to go to our QB Power Tower?
QB Power Tower. Let me get the visual up here for the folks. Bam, bam, bam. I left off one specific person who everyone else has in the top 5. Mr. Kyler Murray Mister,
Kyler Murray.
you need to study the playbook for 2 hours a week. That's crazy that they put that in there. I think it was 12 hours or something like that.
Yeah, that mess, man. Again, that's just wild. That's just wild.
All right, man. Our number one.
So I told you I had number one was Matt Stafford. And the reason why I had them number one is I feel like when I look at the top three guys in Brady, Rodgers, and Stafford, I have to ask myself, well, what puts one over the other? I remind myself it's not a career standings, it's just a power rankings going into next year of who I think's going to have the better season, better team. I think they all will still kind of have fairly similar statistical seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But when I ask for, hey, which one of these guys do I think has the best chance to at least be in the conference championship? It's Matt Stafford. So I think because of that, he deserves the number one spot.
I'm okay with that. You're coming off a Super Bowl. You got a bunch of targets to throw to. I originally had Aaron Rodgers at number one, but when I'm really going back to think about it, Aaron Rodgers' capability is amazing. Aaron Rodgers throwing to who he's throwing to, I don't trust it.
And so, like, I had a homie push back on me. He said, well, you picked Stafford because you want controversy. I said, no, bro. I want to ask you three questions. One, who has the better coach? Who has the better receiving groups? And what guy is more likely to make it to the conference championship? It's not an overall ranking. It's an NFC power ranking. I said, when you answer those three questions, two of them you're going to say is Matt Stafford.
Yep.
So if one guy has the better receiving core, the better coach, and the better chance to make it to the conference championship game and just won a Super Bowl, why can't that guy be number one? Just a power ranking, just going into next year. I'm not saying the man's a better quarterback, but I'm saying when I look at the rankings of how they rank, this is the first time in his career he's had an even roster and coach to either one of them guys.
And had a defense to support that.
Exactly. It's the very first time Matt Stafford has had an even coaching roster to Brady and Rodgers. And he won a ring.
Yep. Number two.
I had Brady. Because Brady was my original number one.
I'm okay with that.
But now, we talk about Rodgers losing Adams. I'm going to penalize Brady for losing his center for the year. And
Godwin. That's true.
So now
we're moving Rodgers up?
So now this is where I got to kind of ask myself is like, what separates 1, 2, and 3 are the top jewels. You have to kind of nitpick on who you put here.
So let's ask that same question. Who has a better coach?
I like LaFleur more than I like Todd Bowles going into next year. Because at least we know what LaFleur does.
Yeah, we know what LaFleur does.
We know what LaFleur does. We don't know what this new Todd Bowles looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Who has better weapons at this current state right now? Probably Tom Brady. Mike
Evans clears. Yeah, Mike Evans clears every person they got on their roster. But then you got Rodgers, who has right now would be the better O-line in the running game to support.
So then who has the better chance to go to that conference championship and again, we talked about Wirfs being carted off. We talked about the center being gone. We talked about the defense being an injury away from just being broken.
I mean, as much as it is a joke, it's the truth. The fools be choking in the divisional, the Packers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But they have a better chance of getting there.
I do think they have a better chance of getting there.
So that would tell us to put Aaron Rodgers at number 2.
Yeah. And he's back-to-back MVP, man.
And that's why I had Aaron Rodgers as number 1 to start, because it's like, I think about it going into the NBA season. Who's going to be the number 1 player in the NBA? Are we going to put Jokic there because he went back-to-back?
Yeah. So number 4 is funny, because, again, it makes us ask some questions. Originally, I had Kyler 4, but again, he doesn't have D-Hop. As before the suspension, all this stuff. So I know for a fact that I have to put Kyler going into next year under Dak and under Kirk. And I feel like under Hurts, because the Hurts team projection and everything is just better from what we see. So 4 is a tough one.
So
Kirk's been so efficient the last 2 years, though.
Right.
Like Kirk Cousins has been very, very efficient.
We talked about
And
him
his
potentially
weaponry
being the
clears
line.
Dak.
I'm okay putting Kirk 4, but I can't put Dak over Jalen personally because, like you said, this is the first time Dak has to be the best player on his team. And we
so
see
let's go
what he's
Kirk
done.
4. Let's go Kirk 4. I'm okay with Kirk 4. It's very, very bad when Kirk Cousins is the 4th best quarterback in your conference, people. I just want to let this be known.
We talked about him when we originally made this list a couple days ago. We talked about him being the line, the Matt Ryan of the AFC.
There's a world where he does become the line, though, because the guys after him, that I had Kyler ahead of him before, but I just think his team's going to be buns. Without D-Hop, it's going to be buns. So he's got to be penalized.
I think the world that he is the line is when we talk about every quarterback in the NFL.
Every quarterback.
Because in that case, he moves further up that list from the middle, right? Because when we talk about the AFC, there's a lot of quarterbacks to put there.
No,
and a lot of those quarterbacks might be in front of everyone that's from 4 to 16, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He might be that guy.
Top 10 when we add this mess together. When we come back, only 1, 2, and 3 is making the top 10 when we come back.
So number 5.
So this is what I kind of want to do. I want to put Dak 5 because I want to give Jalen the ability to jump him when we revisit this. So I do want to update our whole tower every 4 weeks, but we can't deny that Dak has snapped passing wise the last 2 years. Even though we do know going into next year he has to be the best player, I still think it merits him the 5th spot. But I say we come back week 4, Jalen snaps off. That's going to change quick because then it's going to have to expose Dak. But I do think Dak did enough.
I hate it, but I'm
to
not
merit being number 5.
I hate it, but I'm not going to disagree with you because you make valid points. Like it all makes sense. You've done enough as that quarterback, regardless if you had to be the best quarterback or the best player on your team on the offense. You've done enough to be able to be put in that spot. Okay, I'm okay with that. Number 6. Is this where we put Jalen?
It's where I want to put Jalen.
The other quarterbacks we'd be looking at
is
Kyler, Trey Lance. Who else could we even have an honorable? Jameis Winston. That's. I mean, the only other one that would be put in front of Jalen would be Kyler, but I can't put Kyler there.
Well, when I told you,
let's talk about the same questions that we asked before. Who has the better coach?
Well, this is the thing too. If we have to give, when I made my list, I just inserted Trey where I felt like Jimmy G would go. Because I gave him Jimmy G's starting point.
To me, so Jimmy G's line now.
So, but it's almost crazy because when we get to 8, it's going to be like a crazy line.
I think the line, honest, so probably not going to like this. To me, the line is at 7, where we put Jimmy G. And 8 is Kyler. Because again, I'm looking not just at Kyler alone at capability. I'm looking at Kyler going into next year with a coach that continues to be butt and no weapons. And in this case, if I'm looking at Jalen going into next year with his coach, with the weapons, I trust Jalen way more than I trust Kyler.
Luce, I gotta trust Trey just a little more than Jalen. For the only reason. No, for the only reason. Shanahan or Sirianni?
Shanahan.
Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle, Brown, Devontae, and stuff.
Debo, Kittle, and them.
That's why I said I don't think it's wrong for Trey to be 6 now. But like I said, if bro drops off, bro's dropping down on like 11, 12 very fast as hell.
I don't know. So I can't put that logic with a person I've never seen on the field.
Me neither. I don't want to do that too. But I'm trying to figure out, like I said, if I have to just insert you where I think Jimmy G is, in this case, it will be there. You know what? Put Trey 8 for right now. Can you just type Trey 8 for right now? Jalen 6, Kyler 7.
I mean, I guess I'm okay with that.
So what does this look like?
The hard line is Trey.
But it's not gonna. Again, but Trey's gonna move.
He's going to move, but right now, going
whether it's
into
up
the
or
season,
down, whether it's up or down, he's not gonna be here when we come back to do this. He's either gonna go up or he's gonna go down. Because the number 9 name, 9, 10, and 11 is probably gonna be Winston, Baker, and
Mariota.
Wentz. And Mariota. That's 9, 10, 11,
Wentz
12.
In front of Mariota. Wentz has an ability to move up. Dak Prescott, out of everyone above Trey Lance, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray have the most opportunity to move down. Because again, if CeeDee Lamb is not that guy, who else you leaning on?
Right?
If AJ Brown is not that guy, you're leaning on Devontae Smith. If he's not that guy, you're going to the tight end. You're going to Dallas Goedert.
So I think so 9, 10, 11, 12, we're looking at Winston, Wentz, Baker, and Mariota, right? And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I think Jameis should be 9. I'm with you. Jameis should be 9. I'm okay with Wentz being 10.
I'm cool with that too.
Because if the Saints' weapons are as good as they could potentially be, Winston, he'll be set up, but it's still Jameis. We got to see if he's going to clean up that part of his game. 11, I'm cool with Mariota going 11.
Nah, I kind of want to put Baker there first. I hate that I said that.
We could go Baker there. Because they'll be 11 or 12. They'll be flip-flop. I'm not really going to argue about a one-spot change.
Especially after 8.
Yeah, especially after 8. So then we got left Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, the Seahawks quarterback, and who else? And Jared Goff.
Oh.
Jared Goff 13.
Yeah, everyone else is 14 to 15 is interchangeable. So, would you put Daniel Jones here, or are you putting Seahawks quarterback?
Seahawks quarterback 14, Fields 15, Daniel Jones 16, and I'm okay with that.
Daniel Jones. All right. Any bold takes from this list before we move on to over and unders?
So we kind of talked through it. Trey be in the line, but when we come back to this, he's going to move. He's going to move. I think if you're in the NFC and you want Jameis to, I think you would realistically, when I look at this list, you would want Jameis to become the line. I almost feel like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you would want when you look at this list. This list would be absolutely crazy if Tom Brady stayed retired. It'd be so funny, bro, to see what this list looked like if he stayed retired.
Because then we'd have to think real hard about number 3 and putting Kirk there.
Yeah, then we really would have to. Well, but then again, maybe the Jimmy G to the Bucks move would have happened if he stayed retired.
Yeah. So
we will see. Bold takes about this list. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I think this is just kind of how it's gonna play out throughout the course of the year. 1, 2, and 3 are stuck, and one of those 3 guys should be in the NFC Championship game. We both said that is more likely Stafford than the other 2 guys. Dak, if he ain't the best guy, he will drop. If Kyler is really affected by D-Hop, he will drop. If Trey is that guy, he'll probably jump up to 5-4 pretty quick.
I got one.
And the crazy part to say, if Baker is average, that'll put Trey at. We get to week 8, and all these guys play like how they're probably predicted to play. That means Jalen will go to 4, Trey will go to 5, and Baker will go to 6, and Cousins will be 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the projection of like if these teams kind of play to their best of their abilities, then this is probably what it should look like.
Here's what I'm
but
saying.
I actually don't think there's any room really for Carson and Winston to go up.
That's actually where. So this is where my take is. I think Baker ends up in front of Kyler. Baker's gonna end up in front of Kyler. Dak is gonna end up behind Baker. So Baker's gonna get in front of Dak and Kyler by the end of the year.
I just said, when we get there, if everybody balls out, 4, 5, and 6 should be Jalen, Trey, Baker. And then Kirk should be 7 and become the line.
Yep. And then we'll see Kyler Murray take the drop. Dak take the drop.
Kyler and Dak would be 8 and 9, and that would move everybody else down. And so this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy that this is kind of what the NFC power rankings for the quarterbacks look like.
All right, which over and under you want to start with first?
Whatever, it was throw them out there. Let's get them going.
Baker Mayfield. Looking nice in that baby blue, that powder blue. You know what I'm saying?
Man's Baker.
All right.
So remember the averages for most of these guys I try to do over the last 3 seasons. And so
he got terrible average on completion percentage.
Yeah, this is him over the last 3 years. Never threw over 30 touchdowns. Always over the 10s with picks. 14 kind of seems like the number. So I'll go ahead and start. I think he does get over on the yardage. Not much. I don't think he's 4K, but I think he's over 35, 31.
I agree. Over.
This is where the CMC benefit comes in. I think he's over on the touchdowns, but I don't think he's 30.
I agree. I think he's at like 28. 27,
28. And he's done 27, 28 before. I think he did 29 that 1 year, so I don't see 30. I would technically still have to say over on the picks, but I you know what? I want to say under because I still think he's going to do 12, but I don't think he's going to do 14. So I'd rather go under.
Completion
but it's still going to
61.
It's going to be. This is the benefit of CMC. I think that goes up. That's the CMC benefit. You know he's going to get that spammed up. I don't think he's going to be much more 62, 63, but I think the CMC benefit is going to help.
QBR 87. He's the only quarterback that on our over and unders that has a QBR.
It's the crazy part. He has 2 years of 90 and 2 years of 70.
The benefit of CMC. I'm gonna stay on that train, bro.
CMC had Sam.
89.
This Sam had, Sam looking mad, like mad average. You know what I'm saying? When he was healthy, bro. Like it's McCaffrey, bro. He does that. He had Kyle Allen looking nice because he was spamming to this man, bro. And so I got him at like 80, funny.
89.
Yeah, I do want to give him the over. Well, QBR is weird because also like Aaron Rodgers' QBR be like 115 though. You know what I'm saying? So even his QBR here is like average. Like when he had his solid.
That's what Aaron Rodgers throwing like what four interceptions last year.
Yeah. So I think this is like literally his stat line. I think it's just a little over 31. I think he gets like 27 touchdowns, still like 12 picks, like 62, 63. He's not smashing the over, but it's still just enough. But they say in training camp the dude does not try check downs. Like they said Sam's only doing check downs. They were like Baker's trying to send it every time he can. I was like, all right. He was like, he's
trying to get kind of impressed, quick, fast, and in a hurry.
He is. He really is. They say his approach to it is he's really playing like this is it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going all in. I'm going out. I'm going out. So, hey, ride with it, baby.
He said, I won't have another chance ever.
So I think his stat line will be 37, 3,500, 27 TDs, 12 picks, 62, 63. If he hits 65, my nigga's got to have 4K somewhere. He had to hit DJ and Robbie for something. You know what I'm saying? But nah, it's very tough for me specifically with this offense to think he's going to be touching 4K. I think his average is what we are going to see.
Cool. Next one on the docket is Aaron Rodgers. Over, under. Oh, I guess he has a QBR too. Yards 42-14 average over the last 3 years. Over or under? No Devontae Adams.
I'm going under.
Damn, under.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over, to be honest with you.
I'm going high 39s. I'm going like 38, 39.
Actually, you know what? I can believe that. I think they're gonna focus a little bit more on the running game this year.
I'm going 38, 39.
Touchdowns, 34.
Damn. I'm going under. Like 32, 33.
Damn.
Again, it's not big under. It's not big under. It's just under.
4 interceptions.
I think he's going to go over this year.
Yeah?
Not big over. 6 or 7.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
I'm not like none of these. I would tell you clearly if I think he's smashing the over, like he's going to kill it. Nah, I just think it's going to be over.
65% completion.
Over. I think he's still going to be extremely efficient. I don't think we're going to miss that part, but I think he is just going to feel missing Devontae.
QBR 87.
Still be over. Still think it'd be over.
Cool. That's Mr. Discount Double Check. Next one in line is A-Rob. Allen Robinson. 73 catches.
70. Oh, man.
I got him way over.
I got him over.
He hit 90.
I got him over.
Yards. He better be way over.
I got him over on yards, too. I think he's probably squeaks 1K.
Yeah.
I think he squeaks 1K, but I'm not going to. You tell me 1,100, that'd be crazy. But I think he squeaks 1K.
Okay. Touchdowns 5.
Over. I think he'll get 6, 7.
Over on that. A-Rob with the over on everything. Next one we got is the Commanders. Carson Wentz. No QBR. 33-24. Career average over the last 3 years. Over and under.
I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, hold on. Let's just go revisit this. We have him as number 10 in our power tower. So let me come back here. Where's he at? Over and under.
Well, you know what? I think this is gonna be probably one of the funniest ones. Now that I'm gonna say this, I think he's gonna go over on. I think he's gonna go over on everything.
Damn.
Except completion.
And you know what? I'm okay with over on everything, except for completions.
Remember, so last year he went 27-7 with the Colts, right? I think one of those years was like injured year, so some games are missing. But I think he's gonna go over on yardage, over on touchdowns, over on picks, but he's not gonna be efficient. I'm saying I think 61-62 is where he'll probably be at. I don't think touching 64 is what he'll be doing.
Cool.
You can't have 22 touchdowns with Scary Terry.
Yeah, you're going to have at least 27. 27-29, I think.
Yeah.
All right. This is my favorite visual right here.
Let's go.
My favorite visual.
Big snap.
Big snap. Wide receiver core. Honorable mentions that are actually, hold on. Let me get some honorable mentions in here that are not mentioned. We got N'Keal Harry, Deontay Johnson, McCole Hardman, Hunter Renfrow.
And what's so special about all of these wide receivers is they came from the 2019 draft class. All of these guys. All of these guys came from. And Debo and Ezekiel Elliott are the same age.
That's crazy. Ezekiel Elliott seemed like, granted, running back years are a lot shorter than wide receiver years are.
Yeah.
It's like dog
but
years.
All of these guys are from the 2019 draft class. 4 of the guys pitcher got paid. Terry, DK, Debo, and AJ. Hollywood got traded. So, you know what I'm saying? Hunter Renfrow, who isn't pitcher, got paid, got a 2-year deal.
Yep.
McCole Hardman, which I sent you that TikTok where they talked about yards per catch.
Mm-hmm.
And McCole Hardman has the least yards air per catch, like 3 yards. And McCole Hardman goes out and says, oh, well, we had different coverages because Tyreek left. So now that Tyreek ain't there, they're just gonna try to play me man straight up, and I'm gonna eat all day. That was what he said. That I didn't say that. He said that. I didn't say that.
You're the number 3 receiver on this team, bro. You was the number 3 receiver before.
I said, my guy, if they believed that much in you, they wouldn't have invested in MVS, Juju, and Sky Moore, and Justin, and Justin Ross. They wouldn't have brought in 4 extra wide receivers if they thought you were capable to be the number 1, bro. That's overkill.
He's the number 3 game 1, and then as the year goes on, he becomes 4, 5. He's not no playing time.
His role, what he did the whole time, is what he's gonna continue to do.
They're gonna hit you on fly sweeps.
They're not doing nothing else with you, my guy. You have a role carved off. Andy gave you that role for a reason. You're probably not capable of doing the other things he needs done.
Somebody get this guy.
Yeah. So that was so funny to me. Deontay Johnson, the one not pictured, Steelers wide receiver, he also got an extension.
Yep, over
they extended him. So this is why, like, looking at this division, it was very interesting that all these guys got paid. All these guys are in their prime, ascending up the top 20 to back end of the top 5 wide receivers in the league, all from the 2019 draft class. So that's kind of 7, 8 deep of quality receivers in the league. That's kind of dope.
Yeah,
that's kind of dope.
It's so I always got to compare things to the NBA, right? If I look at the AFC, I look at the AFC as the Western Conference. They are deep, top to bottom. It's hard for them to go out and just pay somebody and be like, I can guarantee I'm going to get production from you over the next 5 years. And the NFC on the other side, that's the East. That's the Eastern Conference. These guys are like, yo, we building longevity, right? I'm going to pay DK knowing that I'm probably going to draft a quarterback next year. Give that quarterback a year with DK, and then they're going to break out. I'm going to pay Terry knowing that Carson is kind of our transition into what we're going to do at quarterback. I'm going to pay Debo knowing that we've invested in a Trey Lance, Patrick Mahomes type of situation. Hollywood, we made the trade because we really need you because Christian Kirk is gone. So now we need someone to do what he did. Same with A.J. Brown. You know, vote of confidence for Jalen Hurts. It's just not as deep in the NFC. And I think everyone's kind of waiting for that pin to drop that is Tom Brady to retire.
Yeah. So if he retired,
at this point, Aaron Rodgers too. Over the next 2-3 years, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady gone. It's a whole different look over here.
I don't, and if the Rams keep running it up, I said 2-3 years, that whole team could be gone.
Right.
So it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. It's definitely going to be wild. So
all right, cool. The next comparison we got is Reddick and Smith. Zadarius Smith.
Oh, can you go back to that one? Can you go back to that one?
Bless you.
Get to talk through the stats of all of those guys, man. My bad. So out of these guys pictured, we'll go with just these guys pictured. Even though I kind of do want to think about Deontay Johnson and Hunter Renfrow. Out of these guys pictured, who would you have as the lead within these 5 leading in receptions?
Terry. I'm be honest with you. I think Terry's gonna lead in receptions and yards.
I still have DK leading in touchdowns because red zone threat. He's different.
I do too.
He's different than the rest of his guys. But I could definitely see Terry leading in catches and yards.
Because this is the best. This is the best quarterback Terry has ever had. DK's having a significant drop off at quarterback. As much as I like A.J. Brown, I don't know how you mesh with Jalen Hurts, dog. I'm not just going to be super biased and pick you. Hollywood is the number 2-ish, 3-ish.
Well, he's number 1 for the first couple weeks.
That's true. Without Hop.
Without D-Hop, he'll be the number 1.
But still, I got him as 5th on this list of these receivers that are pictured. So, Terry, yards and catches, DK, real close behind him with catches, leading in touchdowns. Debo, I think he's gonna be all over the field, so I can't put him out there as a receiver only.
He had a crazy stat line of like 80 catches, 1,400 receiving yards last year. It was something like that.
Yeah,
he snapped in that department. Yeah, so he snapped in that department with that. But Brandon Ayuk is getting off, so I don't know how much
yeah.
more of that he can. I don't know how much more of that he can get.
And they're gonna have a healthy Kittle. You forget last year they were missing Kittle for a good amount of the year.
A good amount.
So I think that's why Debo had to snap, is because they were missing Kittle. They ain't really had no choice.
Yeah, I think out of these guys, I'm with you. Terry should lead in catches and yards. DK should lead in touchdown. Debo will clear in all purpose. Even though he says he doesn't want to be using that role, he got his money, so I think he's going to be using that role. Hollywood in the first 8 weeks, man, I think he's gonna have probably like at least five touchdowns, just because they'll be able to get him off. I think how bad their team is going to be early. They'll have that garbage time stuff where he'd be able to get them off.
Yeah.
So I think he might have 5 touchdowns early before D-Hop comes back in like week 8, week 7, whatever. Not pictured. McCole Hardman, you're going to get your 50 catches that you got the last 2 years. Maybe that and call it a day. Hunter Renfrow should snap this year. 90 catches type deal for Hunter. Deontay Johnson, I just don't know what to expect from Mr. Trubisky and them over there. But I just wanted to clear that up on their stat production projection, what you thought of these guys. And to show off the dope graphic, man. You killed this mug, man. This is fire. You got to show it off.
Yeah.
Graphic's so nice. Got to show it twice.
Bam. In your face.
Let's go.
All right. Hassan Reddick and Zadarius Smith. Who has the most sacks next year? Who has the most sacks? Both in different places.
Reddick, yeah. Two pass rushers who go to different places. I got to go Reddick, man. Reddick had 12 last year. I know Zadarius was putting up good stats before he got hurt, but that man's going to be able to eat with the support that I see him have on his line.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I definitely can see Reddick still being a double-digit sack guy next year. I don't know if that's possible for Zadarius.
Right there with you, especially what they got over there in Philly in the interior, as well as having Sweat on the other side. Yeah. He started to break out last year, so we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah.
All right. Trey Lance, Justin Fields. Trey Lance, Justin Fields. I think this was the average.
Well,
year 2 quarterbacks, right? Year 2 quarterbacks.
I took Jimmy G's average,
okay.
And we're going to use it for both of them. Well, it's kind of a mix of like Jimmy G and who else did I look up? And like Jalen Hurts. I kind of mixed a couple people's stuff who had their skill set. But I still feel like it's fair for both of them.
Let's run it.
So on the yardage, that was just passing, though. So do you think they will either one of them would have over 3,300 passing?
Trey better have over 3,300.
Trey better. So I'm with you. I'm going Trey on the over. I'm going with Justin on the under.
I think he'll be on the under too. Touchdowns 24. Trey, you better have over, dog.
Trey better have the over.
Justin Fields?
Going under.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Under. I don't see 24, but I do see high teens. High teens, maybe 21. Rushing touchdowns. I think
I'm gonna say over. Yeah, I'm gonna say over by 1 for Trey, just because he has so much.
Yeah.
And then over for Justin because he ain't gonna have for the opposite reason. He ain't got jack.
I think Trey might get a lot of. Well, they'll be creative, but I could definitely see Trey having 8 rushing off of a lot of creativity in the red zone.
I see that. Plus, running those read options.
Yeah.
Completion percentage.
I got Trey.
Boy, you better go over 61.
Yeah, he's over, but Fields is under. Fields is a bad year for my guy.
Especially if they tanking.
Yeah.
Cool.
1 second, so I can hear you. Let me run to the restroom real quick.
Sure. All right, y'all. That's the last one. That's the last one for over and unders. And then comparisons. Just kind of run through it one more time. We have Baker's over and unders. Over on yardage. Over on touchdowns. Under on interceptions. Over on completion percentage. Over on QBR overall. Aaron Rodgers. Under on the yardage. A little surprising for me, but I'm going to roll with it. Lost his number 1 target, number 1 receiver in the NFL. Under on the touchdowns, 34. Barely under. We talked about him barely being under that. Interceptions over. Average over the last 3 years was 4 interceptions. it's a barely over, right? 6, maybe 7 interceptions. Completion percentage 65 is going to be over. He continues to take care of the ball every single year. Very, very efficient in his passing. QBR 87, we had him going over. A-Rob over in LA, over on catches, over on yards, over on touchdowns. I think Vita made comment saying he'd be surprised if somebody said that A-Rob was going 1,100 yards, especially with a Cooper Kupp over there, and Van Jefferson, who's getting, I think it's his 3rd or 4th year with the team. So, and over on touchdowns. Wentz with the Commanders, we had him over on yards, over on touchdowns, over on interceptions, and then under on completion percentage. That is kind of crazy. You're going to be under 62% completions with more than 3,300 yards, more than 22 touchdowns, more than 9 interceptions. To me, that screams you're going to be behind in a whole lot of games. You're going to have some 39 to 45 passing attempt games. Maybe some 50. You never know. You've seen Carson Wentz have to throw that many times, a couple times. And the wide receiver comp over in the NFC, we also talked about some of them that are not pictured. But we had Terry having the most receptions, Terry having the most yards, DK with the most touchdowns, Debo overall, AJ Brown kind of figuring it out over there in his first year. And then Hollywood just kind of being that guy.
Good support. Yeah.
Reddick and Smith, we have Reddick having the most sacks amongst the two, having that supporting cast. Zadarius Smith coming back healthy, see if he can last for a whole year. And then lastly on the recap, here is our Lance against Fields comparison. Trey Lance going over on yards, over on touchdowns, over on rushing touchdowns, and completion percentage, with Justin Fields only going over on rushing touchdowns and then having a very under on
everything else. Yeah.
And then here's the last recap of our TTE Power Tower for our quarterback rankings. We're going to do this every 4 weeks. We're going to re-rank the NFC and AFC quarterbacks. We also might have an episode where we go over every single quarterback in the league. So, with that recap for y'all.
Yeah, when we come back in 2 weeks on our August 30th episode, y'all, last episode of the month, we will have a put that on something where all of us will be making personal team bets with everybody. And I think that episode will be revisiting the 2020 draft class featuring Herbert, Burrow, and them. We'll go back through kind of what we went through here, get any final touches. Hopefully no injuries, no extra major injuries happen to any of these guys. We also will, what was the last thing? I know we're going to put that on something. We're going to go over the draft class. And we'll do a full quarterback rankings of everybody and how we think they rank.
1 through 32.
In the league at the moment. Yeah, all 32. And then we'll go from there. So that'll be fun. And then, we'll just reorder it every 4 weeks. Y'all want to go game by game. But I'm ready, man. This has been a grinders. We've set on our plan to get through this NFL preview work.
Flowers
We're done
to
with
us.
it. Yeah.
Flowers to us.
We will never be the type of people who just want to come up here and talk about nothing and talk about random stuff. We try to be as detailed as we can. We're talking about things that are meaningful to the game as best as we can. We don't want to talk about rumors and stuff. So we will be taking the next 2 weeks away from the NFL. This was our preview talks. We'll be going to the NBA the next 2 weeks, the NFL at the end of the month, because beginning of September is going to be kickoff time with the Rams and the Bills Thursday night, and that'll be a fun one.
Yep. So, we'll do a little bit more. We'll try to get a little bit more out there with reels, just for some shorts for y'all, some 15, 30-second shorts for y'all to take a look at. But if you like the quick hitters, go visit this man's TikTok. It's in the socials down below. Click on the link tree. Dita Van Pelt, TikTok. This man give you all the shorts, give you all the quick hitters. Whole lot of interaction there. Make sure y'all like, subscribe. We'll see y'all tomorrow for TTE Talks and next week for our NBA episode.
All right. Yeah.